Every child has an imaginary friend. But what if that friend was very, very real? What if it wasn't imaginary at all, but a centuries-old teacher, waiting for a fresh, young mind to mold? This is the story of a little girl named Abeba, and the beautiful, terrible doll she called Kito. The doll didn't just whisper secrets. It whispered instructions. And the first lesson it taught her was how to make the family cat fall asleep, forever. Abeba's world was one of quiet solitude. A bright, sensitive 7-year-old living with her overworked mother, Zuri, in a modest house on the edge of a rapidly modernizing town. Abeba's flaw was a loneliness so profound it had become a kind of creativity. She talked to insects, gave names to shadows, and longed for a friend who would never leave. Her mother, seeking to comfort her, brought home a doll from the chaotic, sprawling Sunday flea market. It was unlike any plastic toy. It was carved from a single piece of dark, heavy wood, its face smooth and serene, with 2 polished cowrie shells for eyes and a mouth that was neither a smile nor a frown, but a line of profound knowing. Its body was adorned with tiny, faded beads and bits of leather. It was ancient. It was captivating. Abeba named it Kito, which means, precious one. From the first night, Abeba and Kito were inseparable. Abeba would chat, and in the silence that followed, she'd nod as if listening to a reply. Zuri was relieved. Her daughter seemed happier, more engaged. But then, the knowing started. Abeba would tell her mother that the mailman would be late because he had a flat tire. He was. She'd draw a picture of a woman from Zuri's office with a storm cloud over her head. That woman was fired the next day. Abeba called them Kito's whispers. Then, the drawings changed. Beautiful, intricate patterns of roots and bones. Symbols Zuri didn't recognize. And Abeba's play became precise. Zuri found a small, perfect circle of stones in the backyard, with a dead bird placed gently in the center, surrounded by a ring of salt. When she asked, Abeba said brightly, "Kito says it's a thank you. The bird's spirit is a gift now." A deep, primal chill settled in Zuri's stomach. This was not imagination. This was curriculum. The incidents escalated. A bullying neighbor boy woke up screaming, covered in painful, hive-like bumps after Abeba had been seen talking to her doll near his window. The family's lush mango tree withered overnight after Abeba, following a game Kito taught her, buried one of her own baby teeth at its roots. Desperate, Zuri took the doll and locked it in a toolbox. That night, the house filled with the sound of furious scratching from the metal box. And Abeba sleepwalked for the first time, standing over her mother's bed with a butter knife, murmuring, "Kito says you're in the way." Terrified, Zuri did what her modern education had taught her to reject. She went to the old part of town, to her great-uncle, Hamisi. Hamisi was a historian of the old ways, a keeper of stories, not a practicing medicine man, but a man who remembered. She showed him the doll. The moment he touched it, he jerked his hand back as if burned. "Where did you get this?" he whispered, his old eyes wide with fear. "A market. For Abeba." "This was never a child's toy," Hamisi said, his voice grave. "This is an ikna, a ritual figure. A vessel. But not for a god. For a man. A very, very angry man." He told a story. A century ago, a powerful and innovative medicine man named Banji was accused of witchcraft by a jealous rival. The village, in a fever of fear, didn't just kill him. They broke his power. They severed his connection to the spirit world by binding his soul into his most sacred object, this very figurine, and burying it in unconsecrated ground. They condemned him to an eternity of silence, his knowledge trapped, his spirit festering with the injustice. The grave was disturbed, Hamisi concluded, staring at the doll's serene shell eyes. Probably by builders or market diggers. It found a child. A pure, open, lonely channel. Banji is not just whispering. He is teaching. Passing on his art. His dark, bitter, vengeful art. He is making your daughter his apprentice. And when her mind is sufficiently shaped, sufficiently angry at the world, he will not need the doll anymore. He will have a new, living body. Zuri's blood turned to ice. How do we stop it? Hamisi looked heartbroken. You cannot simply break the doll. That would release the spirit directly into Abeba. You must convince it to leave. You must complete its work. Give it the justice it was denied. That night, Zuri returned home to a scene of surreal horror. Abeba was in the backyard, under the moon. She had used her mother's lipstick to draw an elaborate, pulsating symbol on the patio stones. At the center was Kito the doll. And circling it, walking in a trance, was Abeba, chanting words in a language she had never been taught. The air smelled of ozone and wet soil. The doll's shell eyes seemed to be glowing with a faint, phosphorescent light. Abeba. Stop. Zuri cried, rushing forward. Abeba stopped. She turned. Her eyes were her own, but filled with a wisdom that was centuries old and bitterly cold. Mother, she said, her voice layered with another, deeper one. Banji says you interrupt the lesson. The gate is almost open. I will be his hands now. No. Zuri fell to her knees, not before her daughter, but before the doll. She remembered Hamisi's words, give it the justice it was denied. Banji, she shouted at the doll. I hear you. The village wronged you. They feared your power and they buried you with it. I acknowledge your pain. The chanting from Abeba stopped. The night went still. But my daughter is innocent. Zuri pleaded, tears streaming. She is not your enemy. She is a child. If you take her, you become the very thing they accused you of. A monster who preys on the innocent. Is that the legacy you wish to pass on? More hatred? More theft? For a long moment, nothing. Then, Abeba's small body shuddered. The doll on the ground vibrated, its beads clattering like angry teeth. The dual voice spoke again from Abeba's mouth, but the child's own fear was now audible beneath it. Legacy is all that remains. My knowledge must not die. Then let it live through her, not instead of her. Zuri implored, a desperate idea forming. Teach her, yes. But teach her both sides. The healing as well as the harm. The light as well as the shadow. Let her choose. That is true power. Not vengeance, but wisdom. It was a gamble. An offer to let the spirit stay, but under new terms. The doll fell silent. The glow in its eyes faded. Abeba crumpled to the ground, sobbing. The lipstick symbols on the stones smeared as if washed by an invisible rain. Zuri scooped up her daughter and, with a last fearful glance, left the doll in the center of the ruined circle. The next morning, the doll was gone. Only the faint smell of rosemary and ash remained. Abeba recovered, but she was changed. She sometimes speaks of dreams with a stern, old teacher who shows her which plants can heal a fever and which stars govern the rains. She no longer draws bones, but intricate maps of herb gardens. Zuri watches, hopeful but wary, wondering what the terms of their desperate bargain truly were. And in a dusty corner of Hamisi's study, on a shelf of other dangerous memories, sits a wooden doll with shell eyes. Sometimes, when the moon is full, the beads seem to shift just slightly, as if turning to listen to the world outside. The moral is carved from ancient wood and young flesh, unresolved history is a ghost that seeks a home. And it will often choose the most open door, even if that door is the innocent heart of a child. To fight a vengeful spirit, you must offer it the one thing it lost, a choice. But what do you think? Did Zuri make a terrible mistake by bargaining, or was it the only way to save her daughter? Can darkness be taught to serve the light? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe to Safari of Tales and hit the bell icon. Be careful what you bring home from the market. Some gifts come with a lifetime of lessons. Until next time, listen carefully to your children's games.